Everybody, Bazin from Smart Chick Laser Focus Mentoring. You are in for a treat today. I am so excited to do this broadcast, is that we are going to be doing a broadcast on decluttering, but not just physical clutter. We're going to add something to this that is super important. Perhaps you need some spiritual decluttering. Is that I am Cynthia Bazin, your laser focus kick in the duff mentor. What I help you is I help you reduce the noise in your life, help you get focused in on your priorities for your personal life and professional life. So if you are joining in, I'm definitely going to say hello to you in a few seconds. But what I want to do is I want to introduce my guest for today that's going to help me with this awesome discussion, Pastor P. Hey, Pastor P.
Hey, what's going on, Cynthia? How are you?
All is good. Finally, we get to do something together.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I'm
excited.
I am very, very excited. So everybody, most of you know me because you are on my Facebook page. If you know my energy, you know the value that, I bring. And if you know Pastor P, what he brings, I would appreciate if you would share this broadcast out. If you are watching this on the replay, I want to address this to our replay viewers right now. I want to know that you are a replay viewer. Please do the hashtag replay on it so we know that you came in after the live broadcast. So Pastor P, for people that may not know you, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Okay, great. First of all, I would like to say I'm excited about just being able to talk to you face to face. We've communicated over the last couple of years, so we're family. I don't consider us to be friends. So I appreciate the privilege of being able to come on with you. My name is Jacques Grooms. They call me Pastor P. Many times people introduce themselves with their title, but that was one of the first things that I learned from you as a laser focus coach. You were coaching me, and I wasn't paying you, but I just learned that it's important for people to know you and not your title. So I thank you for that. But I'm a married man. I've been married for 24 years. I have 4 beautiful sons. I have 2 grandsons. I have a new pet Shih Tzu by the name of Leo. But I'm just a guy I'm a very simple guy, but I love God, and I just thank God for just saving me.
Awesome. I am welcoming everyone. So talk about, so your name Pastor P, while I'm welcoming everybody and encouraging people to share out. Where did that come from? Did you come up with the name Pastor P, or did someone else?
No, actually, Pastor P came from my last church where I served as the assistant pastor. My nickname is Pedro or Pedro.
Okay.
So when people met me in the church, I always just gave them my name. Hey, my name is Pedro, my nickname.
Yeah.
So they started calling me once I was elevated to pastor. They just started calling me Pastor P. I guess if I would have told them it was Jacques, I would have been Pastor J. So it ended up being Pastor P.
I like Pastor P better.
Thank you.
All right, before we get started, and you just let me know, Pastor P, if you can see these comments as I'm putting them up on the screen. So first of all, Joshua Ello is here. I don't know if you can see that where it says good afternoon.
No, I can't see that.
Okay, all right. So Joshua Ello is saying good afternoon. He is here. We've got Patricia Komar, who is Firefly Moments. She is saying hello. We've got Debbie Aguilar in the house saying hello. And we got David Reamer so far live in the broadcast. So okay. Awesome. So fresh, everybody. And Jeff Carlin has come in to say hello. Awesome. Jeff Baroni. So this is pretty interesting, Pastor P. So I did a broadcast on Good Day Sacramento having to do with physical declutter. And this kind of resonated with you having to do with spirituality.
Yes.
Why don't you explain that really quickly before we get into the actual tips?
Well, one of the things that for me, it's hard for me to turn off my faith, and it's hard for me to turn off seeing Christ or seeing God in my everyday life. So when I saw your replay of your interview and you were talking about declutter, as we say in the church, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and just says, hey, look, we need to do some spiritual cleaning also. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to address as we go along is that our spirituality is very practical when it comes to our everyday life.
Absolutely.
A lot of times what people don't do, they don't see it as being spiritual. They just see it as being normal. I
Mm-hmm.
believe there's more normal spirituality than there is anything else that we experience every day in our life.
I love that. Everybody, if you haven't shared this out, please share it out. Let me tell you something, Pastor P. I have been listening to you consistently over the last couple of years, and I just want to say I thank you so much for just always keeping it real. And that's why I wanted you to come on today and do this broadcast with me, because it's not just scripture that you share. You actually apply it to everyday life, to the everyday struggles that we have. So this is going to be such a cool discussion. So why don't we get right to it? And if you guys have any questions as we go along, definitely post them. But what an interesting topic, how physical decluttering, and how does it relate to your spirituality, and what areas do you really need to declutter? So the first question I want to ask everybody into the chat stream that's joining in live and on the replay, again, put hashtag replay if you're coming in on that, is that do you feel overwhelmed right now? Right? That is one of the reasons, right, Pastor P, that often that we need to declutter, because either spiritually or with our physical stuff or emotionally we feel overwhelmed, right?
Yeah. One of the things is we don't realize how damaging clutter is.
Right.
One of the things I was thinking about was just with our computers, with the technology that we have, at least ever so often they give us updates, where we can download, we can, you know what I'm saying? And what it does, it cleans out a lot of clutter.
Right.
It cleans out. So I mean, technology is actually decluttering our lives almost unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. And that's why I said the two, when you look at your practical life and your spiritual life, it's hard to separate the two.
Right.
Because one thing I wanted to share with you from the beginning is that just because you're Cynthia Bazin and you're the laser focused mentor and the coach, that doesn't mean I believe that you're first a Christian that is a laser focused coach. And
I'm going to say what you say all the time. Amen, lights.
Yeah, and I think what happens is some people, they don't want to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to just do what it is that you do. You don't have to tell everybody you're a Christian.
Right.
People will know you by your works.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely. So Randall Harp is here from Bible News Radio and Video Graphics. Thank you so much, Randall, for being here. So, all right. So let's get to this, everybody. This is just such a cool topic for us to talk about, how it all relates. Is that what Pastor P was saying, right? Is that our faith should never be shutting down. It's part of our everyday life. How can we utilize that with our physical clutter, with our relationships, and all that kind of stuff? So we're going to talk about 5 tips, everybody. And thank you, Melanie, for coming in. Tilly Tinman, thank you so much for being here. So 5 tips to effectively get decluttering done in your life. So the first tip I gave everybody on Good Day Sacramento a couple weeks ago is that before you even start, is you got to have some sort of plan. Is that if you've got a hot mess physically inside of your house, the last thing that you want to do is just start winging it, because of the fact of, you know what, you're not effectively going to get it done. You may get overwhelmed right from the beginning. So what I kind of said for the physical clutter was, set a time, set a date, kind of figure out in your mind, are you going from the garage up? Are you going from left to right? Are you going to go from the smallest room first to the biggest? Or do you want to handle the most challenging room first? Before we get into spiritual stuff, Pastor P, I'm just interested, because we haven't had a chance to talk about physical clutter. If you had to clean your house and do a big decluttering project, would you start with something small, or do you want to get into the hot mess, the biggest area first?
To be honest with you, I want to start small.
Okay. All right.
The reason I want to start small is because if most of us are real with ourselves, the real big stuff, we started, but we never finish it.
Very interesting.
So if I start something small, if it's one closet, then that I don't have to worry about the other 3 or 4 closets that I have in the house. So let me just do this one closet.
Right, right. See, it's all so interesting. And, you know, just like in your broadcasts, right, Pastor P, everybody gets a golden nugget and they have to apply it to their life. Not everything that works for you is going to work for somebody else. And so there's a bunch of comments in the live stream now about people needing to physically declutter. So I really do hope that that this helps you. So you got to figure out what works for you with the physical clutter. We're going to get to the spiritual clutter in a second. For me, Pastor P, is that I always like to get the worst done first.
Right.
So it's done, it's tackled, and you know what? And then everything's kind of like easy breezy from there.
Yeah.
But so many of my clients, so many people that I know, it's like, you know what? Let's just get an early win. Let's get something done first and take those baby steps.
Yeah.
So everybody, having to do with the physical clutter is that developing some sort of plan, knowing that it's not always going to go according to plan, right,
That's
Pastor?
right. That's right. Yeah.
And then what are you going to do with all this clutter?
Yeah.
For physical clutter, I always say, you know what? Have like an organization that you want to donate it to. Maybe a women's organization. Maybe you want to get the clothes and the stuff to an organization that helps the homeless. Have your why, you know, really important. Why do you want to get this done? Is it just to simplify your life and release the emotional overwhelm? Is it to help the homeless, help a women's organization? Be able to have that plan together so it keeps you motivated and the momentum up. Yeah. All right, Pastor P, take it away. The first tip, developing a strategic action plan. How does it relate to our spiritual life and how we need to declutter?
Well, you know, like I told you, they both run so parallel. It's just really difficult to separate the two.
Yep.
So I'm in total agreement with you. But one of the interesting things is it depends on a person's personality when it comes to where you're going to start, how big or how small. You know, it really depends on your personality. Let me remind you, a lot of people say in January, I'm going to lose weight. And what happens? They say, I'm going to read the Bible in a year. And they start off reading, but then, you know, because of poor planning and not being strategic about your approach or even being realistic about your goal, you miss it. And what happens is, instead of you picking up momentum, you lose momentum. And around April, you're like, okay, well, where's my Bible now? You can't even find the Bible because everything else has become such a distraction and you haven't prioritized or made a schedule for the time you will dedicate. There should be certain times where you just turn social media off.
Right. So I want to learn something from you, Pastor P. So you know what? I'm trying to get better in my faith. Our listeners are saying, you know what? I want to be a better Christian. I want to do better. I want to know the Bible better. What are some practical tips or something that just jumps out at you? So you're saying, you know what? Don't do too much. You don't have to do everything. Like, give something like a practical tip for somebody that's trying to change their life, trying to bring God into their life more each and every day. What would you suggest as a couple tips?
I always tell people, what are you dealing with? What's going on in your life? And that's topical. And what you can do is say, okay, well, I've been so stressed out. Then Google scriptures on stress and meditate on scriptures that talk about stress and anxiety. And you'll be surprised how much, not only will it help you, you'll be surprised at how educated you will become at learning scriptures. That's start with you.
Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that? That awesome tool of Google. That is such a great tip. Is that what are you struggling with?
Yeah.
You can't, just take it all in. Just like you can't physically just, take care of everything in one day. It's a process.
That's right. That's right.
And so the process that Pastor P is talking about, and I want to say, Rick Costa, thank you so much for being here and telling people to share this out, is that, it's a process. You're not going to be able to do everything all at once. is that you may have gotten deep into physical clutter. You might have gotten deep into straying off the wrong path spiritually.
That's right.
What's the first step? What can you do right now? What is the next best thing? And so Pastor P is saying, what are you struggling with?
Yeah.
Just deal with that.
Yeah.
I like that.
You know, one of the things I want to say real quick before you go to the next point.
Absolutely. Continue on.
The interesting thing about decluttering, whether it's just in your everyday life, now we know spiritually every day we're Christians, but one of the interesting things is that you have to first of all admit that you have too much junk.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's just like our faith. We have to admit that we have need of a savior. I have to admit that there's some trash in my life, in my office, in my file cabinets. I have to admit, hey, look, that stuff has been in there for years. I need to clean it up so I can at least get some level of organization.
You know, I just want you to touch on that because you know what? There's a lot of people that feel a sense of embarrassment for physical clutter and a sense of embarrassment that maybe they've, left the church. They haven't gone to the church for, 10 years. They haven't done the right thing. So what would you say is, a first step is that as far as, is it going to a pastor? Is it talking to someone like yourself? Like, what would be that first step to get back into it, like really develop that relationship? Is it Googling, something that you're struggling with? What would be to get that connection back to the church, we'll say, for example?
Right. Well, I honestly believe the first thing that you have to tell yourself is that you're not by yourself.
Love that.
See, a lot of people think, oh, it's just happening to me, and I'm so embarrassed. They're looking at me like I'm crazy. But then we start to talk with other people, and we call it fellowship. When you really have genuine fellowship, that's when you start to find out that, oh, I'm not by myself. And then that's why I always tell people, ask questions. Because when you ask the question, you're actually asking for the person that's sitting beside you because they're afraid to ask.
And this is such the brilliance of Periscope, which I think that we've all learned, right? Put yes inside the chat stream, everybody, if you agree with this, because a lot of our listeners today are from Periscope, is that I think that Periscope has done an amazing thing that has, be able to confirm with us that we're not alone, because we see people with similar struggles, talking in Periscopes, being able to speak our voice out, that sort of thing. So I think that, the 2 points that you just said is that, first of all, you're not alone in getting help, and that you're not alone, that other people are going through the same things. So yeah, don't, keep, it held in. Don't try to deal with it yourself, because we're all going through something. And as I always say on the broadcast, Pastor P, we all have our hot mess. And what do you say? You say something like we all have a junk drawer. We all have that room. What do you say?
Yeah, we all have that junk drawer in the kitchen, and we always have a closet that nobody can go in.
So even the laser focused mentor has that junk drawer. So I shut the door. No kidding. Kidding. All right. So the first tip, everybody, was develop a strategic action plan. I want to say thank you so much for coming in. David Reamer saying we're not alone. Everybody struggles. Exactly. And let's see. April Bolivar, welcome in, says one way to get into a church is when someone brings you. How I got back into my faith.
Amen.
Love that, April. Love it. Love it. And David talks about struggles. Admit it, find it, and let's deal with it. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff. So refresh Cynthia Bazin. You all know me from Laser Focus Mentoring here with Smart Chick. My special guest today is my family member, Jacques, Pedro, Grooms, also known as Pastor P. So appreciate you being here. So number 2, everybody. The first one was develop a strategic plan. The second tip I gave on Good Day Sacramento having to do with physical clutter, but we're relating this to our spiritual faith also, is be prepared with what you need.
Right.
So how I explain that with physical clutter, and I know lots of you are dealing with physical clutter, is that, before you just start cleaning stuff up and putting piles, onto the floor or something like that is, again, kind of related to the strategic plan. But maybe figure out, are you going to have 3 boxes to put the stuff in? Maybe one box is the organize box that you're going to file stuff afterwards. The second box is going to be the donate pile. And then maybe the third box is the eliminate file. With physical clutter, maybe you don't have the room to be able to put it into a space right now. So you take some stickers and you start just putting stickers on stuff that you are going to donate during a designated amount of time. Is that so many times people just kind of, again, go into it without being prepared about how you're going to move forward with it. So Pastor Pete, take it away.
And you were saying being organized, right?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things about just life in general, many of us aren't walking in fulfillment and don't have the joy in life because we're not being strategic.
Right.
We're just not being realistic with where we are financially. We're not realistic where we are physically. We're not realistic where we are spiritually. So what I would suggest is like you say, organize. If you go to church or if you have an organization that you're involved in, see how you can get more involved. We have so many people that operate in obscurity, but they want to be involved, and sometimes it's intimidating because of other people's organizational skills. But if you don't attach yourself to a person that challenges you to be, to bring your standards up higher, your organization will never get better. And you'll look in the closet and you still have something from 1980 that you thought you're gonna lose some weight and get back to your high school weight, and it was coming back in style, when in actuality it wasn't. It wasn't. Right. And we have to get our organization. Let me say this. In order for us to be organized, we have to be willing to admit our disorganization. It's like waving a white flag. I need some help.
Yep.
Help me, but if you go in with decluttering, especially when it comes to your spiritual stuff, what is it that you really need? Where is it your relationship? Is it you don't trust the church no more? Problem in your previous church? Talk to somebody and don't depend on Facebook to answer these questions.
Exactly. You got to trust somebody, Pastor P, right? It's like you got to, listen, just, take away the pride, you know what I mean? And just, you have to admit that, yeah, I've got a problem. So for the physical clutter, you may not be able to do this on your own. You might have to, pull together the family, pull together a friend that's going to help you make that decision, which we're going to be talking about next, about those clothes that are not going to come back in style and you're not going to fit into down the road. You need to get rid of them. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, what is it going to take for you maybe to get back into your faith? You just have to say to someone, hey, listen, you know what? I'm a mess. You know what? I want to get going. I need help. I need that kick in the duff to go to church, start reading the Bible, get me to a Bible study or something, right? So
that's right.
What is going to best prepare you for what you need? And so all of these broadcasts, everyone, as you all know me, and we've got lots of comments here, and I want to say, Stacy Hart, thanks for coming in. Lots of great comments coming in. I also want to say hello to Robert Sells. Thank you so much for coming in. You're awesome, my friend. Is that we all need something different. So we're talking about a whole bunch of different things. As I always say, and Pastor P always says, take one thing from today and see how you can apply it to your life. Is that not everything that we talk about today may resonate with you, but if you can get one golden nugget, that would be awesome. So let's see. April Bolivar said another great comment, Pastor P, about plugging in. We have small groups in our church. It keeps me on track. So that's a great way of doing it too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing about small groups is that's a small church within itself. And what it is that's a body of people that not only will hold you accountable, but they're also there in a time of need. So,
right.
And that's a smaller, intimate setting where you can probably you can probably wash out or fan out some of your laundry there, where you can't stand up in the sanctuary and say, hey, look, guys, this is the problem that I have. But in small groups, you're giving an opportunity, and it's an environment that's conducive for that.
Yes. Rick Costa, he said a very simple but powerful statement that we're built for community.
Yes. Yes.
Let me ask you, because a lot of people are here on Periscope, should you just have an online community, or should you also have a local face-to-face community? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's just like saying, should my parent only be on television, or should my parent be in my presence? And we know it's only good parenting if I'm in the presence. If I'm there where I can touch you, I can hold you, I can pray with you in person. I think many people have made a mistake of substituting the church with social media. And my thing is this: think about it, Cynthia. If you say you don't go to church because now you attend Bedside Baptist on social media, then then who's going to preach your eulogy? Who's going to come and visit you in the hospital? Who's going to come over to your house?
You know what? That's a great point. And there's a reason why I asked you that, Pastor P, because you did a broadcast recently, at least part of it, about, encouragement, to go to church, not just at, what did you say? Bedside Baptist. What did you say? That's good, everybody, right? Is that, and I'll just be honest with you, Pastor P. I'm always, honest. But you know what? I moved out to California here a couple years ago. And you know what? I just wasn't in the right church, right? So for a little while there, you know what? Yeah, I was on Periscope and I did listen to you, and it was that need. And I know Joshua, we just had this conversation a couple weeks ago, right. Joshua, about this, is that, you know what? You got to keep digging for that. And you know what? There is no substitute when you've got that community hugging one another and talking with one another and doing life together. You got to find the right church for you, and it's out there. You just have to keep digging, right?
Yeah. And one of the things, that's why I love the Bible, because whether you give the Bible credit or not, you're basically living on the principles that are taught in the Bible, and some of the laws, if not all the laws in the Bible, apply to our life, whether you give God credit for them or not. Because when you look at the book of Solomon, he talks about there's a time and a season for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we go through those seasons where we're in what I would call a desert, a dry place, and we're trying to find our way. And the amazing thing about it is that's normal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You were not being abnormal, but I don't. In the process of you being isolated, don't let it become a permanent fixture for you. A season of separation is good for whatever reason, but God really wants us, and he tells us in Hebrews, to not forsake the assembling one with another. And there's a reason behind that. It's a serious reason behind that. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, Pastor Pete. And we got some funny comments. We got some great comments coming in, but I want to say to Rachel Johnston, thank you so much for coming into the broadcast. That is awesome. Stacy Lynn says, yep, because we've got to have that in-person community. And Stacy also wants to say that Pastor Pete rocks. Of course she needs to say that.
She's the only one. She's the only one.
I love that. And Jeff Carlin is saying, in relation to if we just have an online community, if he just had an online community, he's going to have to set up his Archon mount on his hospital bed. We don't want that, guys, right?
Hey, Cynthia, look at it like this. You have your local people that you mingle with on a regular, and then you have your social media family. So we have extended family.
Right. And I always talk about this, Pastor P. I'm sorry to interrupt. But you know what? It's so funny because the people on social media, right, they know me as, laser focus mentor, speaker, all this kind of jazz. The people in my church have absolutely no idea what I do for work.
Right.
And you know what? And that's important. Again, like you said, I introduced myself, as you were saying, you know, on who I am, that I have a dog, I'm married for so many years, right? I've got so many kids. Is that it's good to have these different circles, is that you don't have to have, you know, just church on social media or work on social media. It's good to have, you know, different circles. And, you know, my pastor from Lakeside Church, you would love him, Pastor P. His name is Brad Franklin. He is like, listen, if everybody looks like you and everybody sounds like you know what I mean?
Something wrong.
You're limiting yourself from blessings of what God wants, you know, of people that he wants you know, surrounded with.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
one of the things, Cynthia, and this is dear to me, is that I wanted diversity when it came to my relationships and my spiritual walk. I just wanted diversity, and I wasn't seeing enough diversity where I was. And if you don't have enough diversity, then you're just blending in.
Right.
And I think that when it's like us talking today, when we have two different people, male and female, white and black, or whatever it is, when we have this level of diversity, it quiets some of the conversation of some of the other issues that the world is facing, because we're going against the grain.
Right.
They look at us as being abnormal.
Right.
So
what are those two doing together? What are they talking about together?
Right.
You know, and again, the pastor that, you know, is at my, you know, be the first to extend your hand. He calls it that other person that's not in your circle, that other person that's not, you know, the same race of you, the same, you know, beliefs of you. Because you know what, I truly, I mean, I came from a very, very small town, Pastor P, that it wasn't diverse, you know, and I tell you, as soon as I could, you know, get out and, you know, surround myself with people different than it just makes a huge, huge difference.
You know who I talked to today?
Who's that?
Awita Lane.
Oh, I love Awita. Baby Bobby.
She hit inbox me, and she was sharing some information with me, and I says, look, girl, I didn't say girl, but I'm just thinking. I says, call me. Call me. That's awesome. Personable. You know, call me and let's talk, because it's so much lost in translation over text and inboxes and all that stuff. And we talked probably for about 20 minutes, and we got some things that we're going to work on together. And I want to support her, because I believe in doing it with everybody.
I love that. So many good comments, Pastor P. Someone that's struggling with something, and I also want to say hello to other people that are coming in. But Rick was saying in relation to finding what you need is that there's so many churches to choose from, something for everyone. So just to keep on digging. And Joshua Ello, he talked about that during the broadcast recently. We've got Jerry Grillo here, Bishop Grillo.
Bishop's in the building, huh?
Yeah, he's in the building, as you say. Let's see. I'm waiting for you to say you're putting some quarters in the meter, because we're already at 20 minutes of the hour. Let's see. You know, Jeff is saying some awesome comments. Oh, we love you too, Stacy Lynn, saying I love you guys. That's awesome. Thank you. Let's see what else is coming into the chat stream here. Let's see. That's why I love my pickleball community, says Stacy Lynn. We had two guys almost get in a fist fight this morning, but in the end, there was peace. Well, that's good. Don't want anybody getting hurt. And you know what? I want to mention a comment of somebody that is struggling with something. Pamela just said, I believe we should build together, but after what happened to me, I am shutting down. I'm shutting myself away from others. I'm doing my best. I do go to church Saturday and Sunday, but it's getting over the pain I went through.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact situation, but it's okay to shut down a little bit, right?
It is, but you have to be careful.
Right. There's a line. Yes.
It is. And one of the things is, I'm not going to try to address their pain, because it's more involved, because I would have to talk to them. But I just want to tell them, be careful of isolation, because isolation then will cause alienation. And what Satan wants you to do is not staying connected. If he can isolate you, if he can get you away from the flock, if he can get you by yourself, your vulnerability goes up. And what happens is you're more vulnerable to spiritual attacks. And then actually he'll create what I call some paranoid type of disposition where you can walk in a room and the people not talking about you, but you feel like they are because you're not engaged with those people.
And Joshua adds, Joshua Ello, self-pity creeps on in as well.
Yeah. See, one of the things, let me say this. One of the things, and I'm almost getting ready to put a quote in the meter, but one of the things is we get it so backwards in our lives. When we have problems, we run away from the source that can help us out instead of running to the source. Like instead of coming to good friends, we run away because we don't want to be embarrassed. But like we said earlier, if you come and talk to them and say, hey, Cynthia, I mean, like people you mentor, they says, look, I'm having a problem. Once you break through the shell of who they are and they start being transparent, then you can help. Then you can help. But we gotta bring our problems. You know, we say bring it to the altar, but the thing about bringing it to the altar, I've seen so many people that pick them back up on the way out.
Great comments by April Bolivar. She says the devil loves isolation because he can break you down. Rick Costa adds seclusion is okay for a little bit to heal, but too much will cause depression. And let's see. And then Pamela Sue adds to her comment that she said about how she's kind of isolated herself. She says, I miss my social media group, but I was told that only God can be there for me, that I just need to focus on that for now.
Well, let me just tell her. Let me speak to her. It's true that only God can be there for you, but he put like myself, and I'm not promoting myself. He put people like myself, Cynthia, and these other viewers that's on here to also be a part, because we actually become the hands and the feet of God. So when she says that she can only depend on God, I get that. But God has placed people strategically that serve him and that are willing to help her out in whatever struggle she had. Yeah.
It just presents a lot of clarity. You know what I mean? Just, you know what? It doesn't matter, you know, how great the Bible is, how great, you know what, the information I have in front of me. Sometimes because of, you know, the hurt feelings and that sort of thing, you know, it's just not clear about, you know, the word. It's not clear about what you need to do to declutter other areas. So it's always good to have that one trusted resource. And again, there's so many great resources out there. There's some not so great resources.
Right.
It's one of those things that I would love for you to connect with Pastor P after the broadcast. If you're not already connected with him, we'll be putting his information in the chat stream after this live broadcast. Reach out to me. Is that we have good discernment that, you know what, we may be able to help you, we may not be able to help you, but we have a great, it used to be a Rolodex file, a good, resource.
Contact list.
Yeah, a resource list of who would be able to help you. So let's see. Joshua Ello says, I healed wounds. I healed wounds will manifest in many other areas of our lives. Solution, God heals the root. Yeah, not I healed, just healed. Okay, Joshua, awesome. Yeah. All right, everybody, we've got to move along because we've gone through 2 tips of 5. And so as a quick reminder, is that we're talking about 5 tips to effectively declutter your life. Physical clutter, spiritual clutter. We went through develop a strategic plan was number 1. Number 2 was be prepared with what you need. Now, this is a fun one. Number 3, commit to a decision.
Yeah.
I love this one because this is what I talked about with physical clutter is that I like stop being a flip-flopper. Meaning this is that if you're cleaning out your closets, this is where the does it come back into style sort of talk come in, is that, you know what, give yourself, some credit that you know the answer and that, make an informed decision. Is it going to stay? Or, I haven't worn this in a year or so. This needs to go. It needs to be donated. It needs to be eliminated. For paperwork, maybe you have a set period of time that, 5 years of paperwork. Anything before that is being dumped. Is that I think so many times in life, Pastor B, we don't trust ourselves when we really do know the answers, whether it's physical clutter or the spiritual stuff. So I'm
Right.
going to let you take it away.
And you said to commit, right?
Commit.
Right. So
Action.
now when we transition from like committing to cleaning our stuff up, when you look at your spiritual life, you have to be committed to the process of getting to understand what salvation means, getting to understand what the relationship with Christ means. Because if you don't do it, I've seen so many people come in on Sunday and they want their lives to be changed on Monday. And they haven't committed to the process. And I've been saved now for probably, probably about 12, 13 years. And I'm so glad I committed to the process, because what has happened over the years, because of my commitment to the process, my spiritual life has evolved.
Mm.
It's just like our marriage. You know, when you just got married 6 years ago, 7 years ago, how long ago was it? 5.
5.
Okay. I know it was recent, but 5 is the number of grace. But in the 5 years, that you guys have been married, you guys have changed.
Oh, yes.
But you've embraced the process of growing together. You know,
Right.
you're really finding out that there were some things that you didn't know. You know, you're finding out there's some things that you guys have in common. But the whole point is be committed.
Right.
Once you find that, okay, it has the prayer hasn't been answered yet, don't abort the process. Be committed to the process.
Mm-hmm. Lynn, is it Lynn Williams? Lyne, or yeah, Lynn Williams. I love that this addresses beyond just the physical clutter. Thank you for deep diving into this. You are so welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Miss Williams. And then, yeah, David says time to take action. And Melanie says you're both amazing. Well, thank you. You're amazing for being here. Appreciate that, Melanie. Christina, to something that what you were saying was saying truth, Pastor P. And David Reamer says, please don't be shabackled. And Christina Schwartz is saying hello to us. So hello. Thank you all for being here. So we're talking about decluttering. So yeah, so make a decision, and don't, I just want you to address this really quickly, although we could talk about this for a long time, is that, making a decision is also being proud. Not just committing that you're going to do this, but talk about just spiritually that, what, do you think a lot of people shy away from talking about their decision to follow,
Well, yeah, well, you say you want me to be quick, right?
Well,
I just want
let's put another quarter in the meter. Go ahead.
I want to put it like this. If everybody else can come out the closet, why can't we come out the closet as Christians?
Right.
I mean,
right.
There's no reason to shy away. And matter of fact, the Bible clearly states that, well, Jesus says, if you won't profess me before men, I won't profess you before my Father. But in the deeper sense of what he's saying is that embrace who you are. Embrace the newness in your life. Everybody does not know Genesis to Revelation. So you don't have to worry about trying to know it all. Mm-hmm. Amen. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about me coming out of the closet, so to speak, as a Christian, is that it would challenge me, because somebody may ask me a question that I don't know the answer to. Mm-hmm. Now I can go and do research. It's mm-hmm. okay. It's okay as a believer to say, I don't know. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. People are saying, I see another quarter in the meter needing to be put in. And Rick Costa says, stop the clock. We need more time with you and Cynthia. You guys are funny. You know what? I'm so glad we did this, Pastor P, because what a cool just mix of having to do with how clutter, it just kind of, it all encompasses all together. And so I hope you all are getting, some great tips. Go ahead. Well, what I wanted to say was, remember like how we connected a while back? Mm-hmm. Look how the relationship has evolved.
Yes.
We're on different platforms. We're just doing different stuff, and
Right.
that's a part of decluttering, because
Hmm.
you can stay on Periscope and get cluttered with the information and just being there. But if you branch yourself out, you can cut down on some of the clutter, and some of the traffic or whatever that comes with it. And
Hmm.
it's, for me, I love it, man. I'm
Right.
excited.
I'm excited. Love it. Oh, you're welcome, April, saying thank you so much for this amazing broadcast. Great, great, great. I'm so glad you all are getting something out of this. Again, somebody in your life, okay? All of us have clutter, but whether it's a family member, it could be a good friend of yours, somebody that you see that's totally overwhelmed right now, is that, it would be, such a blessing, is that, this would probably be a good way for you to kind of like gently, let this person know, hey, listen to this broadcast. Something might resonate with you having to do with decluttering. So appreciate all of you that have shared out. This will also be on other platforms after this. And again, if you're catching the replay, please put #replay. So we've talked about developing a strategic plan in decluttering, being prepared with what you need, committing to a decision. The next tip that I gave on Good Day Sacramento having to do with physical clutter was complete the task fully. And what I meant by that was, too often is that we do great in decluttering this one area, and then what we do is we put it into another area that we're going to eliminate or we're going to donate, and then months go by.
That's right.
You've got another mess on your hands of clutter, and that you haven't fully done the job. You haven't taken it all the way. You haven't completed it fully. So what I'm saying, as far as physical clutter goes, and this definitely can relate, spiritually, is that finish the job that you started. Is
Yeah.
that, what, again, this comes into don't getting overwhelmed. But if you're going to start something, what's the plan to get it all the way through? So go
Right.
ahead, Pastor P.
Right. I was just looking at a scripture verse that will probably help us out in this. But the difference now, this is one of the differences when it comes to, like cleaning out your closet or whatever, because those are never ending processes that we go through. Because every time you move into a house, you start to redecorate, but you always redecorating all the time. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But what I was thinking about when it came to the spiritual was in Philippians, in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, it says, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it out into completion until the day of Jesus Christ. So when it comes to our spiritual, if you're saved, if you have accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, the Bible tells us that we've been sealed. So in the spiritual sense, there's always a purging that's going on. That's if you're following the leading of the Holy Spirit. But realize this, even in the midst of you not doing that, let me say it like this: even if you're not the perfect Christian, you're still saved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Amen. So whatever Christ starts in you, he's going to see it to its completion.
Love that. Everybody love that? Put some comments in the chat stream. That's awesome. That is just awesome.
Yeah.
Let me just, because the comments, I will just lose them if if they go too far down. We've got Robert Sell saying this is some really great info today. Thanks for doing this, Cynthia and Pastor P. Thank you, Robert, for being here. And thank you, Stacy. You're going to share this on Bible News Radio. Really appreciate that. And Rick, thanks for encouraging people to please share this out. And Owita is here.
Is she?
I
Wow.
love seeing two of my favorite people in one place. Awesome for you to be here, Owita. Let's see. Come on, preach. People are saying great session. Janice Demchik, thank you so much. Welcome in. I appreciate that. Let's see. I do have a donate box that's been sitting in my room like a pet. Get that moving. Complete it fully. I love it. I love it. Kimberly, thank you so much for coming in. Welcome into the broadcast. And yeah, and April says he will walk with you all the way. Thanks, April.
Can I do something real quick, Cynthia, if you
Yes.
don't mind? Um, when it comes to decluttering, um, all of us, when we moved into our current house,
Mm-hmm.
I told my wife when we moved, I said, all of those televisions that's got those big backs on them,
Yes.
I says, we're not taking those. They're like 200 pounds, and we had like 6 of them. And I says, no, I'm not gonna pay anybody to move those. So it was a way for me to declutter, and we bought all new flat screens. And the amazing thing, this is the revelation in the flat screens. You can take a flat screen and put it on the wall, and it won't take up as much space.
Right.
You get square footage back. And what I wanted to share, can I put a quarter in the meter and park right here?
You can. Yes, you may.
Listen to this. Listen to this, guys. I was reading this article because I wanted to try to prepare because I was nervous about this interview.
Oh, please.
Listen. No, seriously. Listen to this. 67% of people say they would save up to 30 minutes a day if they were more organized. Right?
I believe that.
Listen to this one. Listen to this one, guys. How do people feel when they organize their workspace? 71% feel accomplished. If you're the type of person that you don't feel like you're accomplishing anything, it's probably because you're disorganized.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to step on any toes. I just want to tell the truth and shame the devil. 68% feel in control. 54% people feel confident. 52% feel motivated. And then check this out. 43% of the people feel relaxed because of being organized and decluttering.
I love relaxation, chillaxing, peace, all those words. How many of you put the word peace, put chillaxing, put relaxation, put that in the chat stream if you need a little bit more of that. I think we all need that. Yeah. You know, so many people that are just burnt out, overwhelmed. We know some of our folks on Periscope, right? Everything is just being piled on. And so, yeah, just being able to get organized, figure out what you need, and be able to relax and have some more peace. I'm telling you.
My wife just came in.
All right. She can join us.
Oh, no, she just came in on the broadcast.
Awesome. I was like, join the party. Welcome in. All right. So, yes, Terry, welcome in, says all of them. Peace, relaxation I need. David Reamer says organization is key. David says chillaxing is what is that he likes. And Rick Costa says chillaxing is awesome. And April says peace with a question mark. Well, hopefully you mean peace with an exclamation mark, April. That's definitely something that we all need to, work towards. Again, it's all a process. It's not going to happen overnight, all of this decluttering. Number 5 tip, Pastor P, out of the 5 that we were talking about, is that developing a system to keep on it. And so my broadcast on decluttering physical stuff is, it's great that you declutter. It's good that you've cleaned up. But what usually happens is that a couple months down the road, you got the same dang problem. You got all the clutter back, is that you haven't kept on it. You haven't developed something so that you can keep on top of it. Yeah. And so I was saying about now is the time, once you declutter, okay, what are you going to do to develop a system to keep on it? Is it folders? Is it organization crates? Other things that you need to organize? Do you need to time block, meaning like, okay, we decluttered today, family. Let's put 2 months on the calendar to do the next one, so that it isn't 10 years from now that you're saying, oh my gosh, I strayed away again. And now I got to start again from the start. Why don't we come up with something that, it's easier, we keep on it, it's not overwhelming, and we keep on top of it. So go ahead, Pastor B.
Well, the way it translated for me in the spiritual, when I saw it, was that we must establish a system of accountability. If you go to church and you're not engaged in the church, then you don't really have anybody that you're accountable to, or you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you just sit on the back pew. Granted, you can just tell people, yeah, I made it to church yesterday, but my thing is, and from my own personal experience, is engagement equals growth. Growth, when you have people that are accountable, like, your girlfriend can see you, or you can talk to them about certain issues, or if they see you get out of your lane, they can
Right.
pull you, and that's a system of accountability. We
Mm-hmm.
have too many, listen to me, we have too many rogue Christians. They have no accountability. They may be saved and going straight to heaven, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't have any accountability. And from what I've experienced, Cynthia, is that you don't really experience joy in that. You
Mm-hmm.
don't experience you don't experience that sense of accomplishment. I have one of my best friends. Let me tell this story real quick. I have one of my best friends. He called me up because he's going through a medical procedure, right? And he called me up and he says, "Man, I want you to come and be a part of this process." And believe me, it was because we established a system or of accountability. Now, in the previous, conversations or whatever, I may have said some things that challenged him, but when it came a time in his life where he needed somebody there, guess what? He called me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are listening to me, don't be afraid to hold people accountable. They may not like you at that moment, but they will call you back and say, "Hey man, hey sis, I'm glad you pulled me by my coat. I'm glad you checked me," because we just have to show people that we're actually concerned about their well-being, especially their spiritual well-being. And
Mm-hmm.
and it bothers me that we don't have enough accountability.
And just like asking for help, we need accountability as well.
Yes.
So reaching out to people and say, hey, if I'm like getting off track, or you know what, or you see me doing something that, you know what, is not the right thing, please, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pull me aside, please, kick me in the duck, whatever you want to say. And you know what, put me on the right track, right? Because just because, you know what, you've gotten to a good place, I mean, we've all swayed off track. We've all done things, you know what, that we're not proud of. Again, like you said, we're not perfect people, is
No.
that as quickly as we can, rise up, we can, go off the wrong path. So
Yeah, and the interesting thing when you look at the Bible, even Jesus had a smaller inner circle. And one of the things is, if Jesus had some accountability people around him, right? Even though he was God in the flesh, but he still had some guys around him in his inner circle that I do believe there's some conversations that we don't have the luxury of hearing or seeing,
right.
except for a few of them where he had to correct Peter and told Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan," because Peter was always trying to protect Jesus. Well, no, I'm not going to let them do that to you. And then you had Judas, who was destined to actually turn Jesus in because he was the son of perdition. But the interesting thing is, he always had a smaller circle of people, and that circle just got bigger, and it went out. So make sure you have some people close to you that can possibly check you.
Awesome. So that goes back to Pamela Sue that was talking about how she was kind of retreating. So, Pastor P, pulling it right out of the Bible that, Jesus had a small inner circle. He needed his peeps. he
That's
needed
right.
people. He needed people. So, you know what? We've got to have, people around us. But again, don't be afraid. I'm always talking about this, is that don't worry about the number of people around you. Make sure you have quality people around you that, that are going to hold you accountable, that aren't just saying what you want to hear, but sometimes what you need to hear, So I love that, Pastor P. So let's do this, everybody. I would love to hear some comments in the chat
Yeah.
stream. What was the number one or two things that you got out of this broadcast? Maybe if you could put some big aha moments that you got out of this that Pastor P and I talked about. We're going to go through just a quick summary, just basically of the points. If you're just jumping in, there's a lot of people that are jumping in now. I want to say hello to Lisa Bechtel for being here. Is that we're talking about decluttering. It could be physical clutter. It could be spiritual clutter. Pastor P said it so eloquently that, it's really not separate. It really is intermingled. It's all part of this journey of life, and just how everything really does mix in together. And so the reason why we did this broadcast is, number one, Pastor P and I have been Gosh, I think we've been meaning to do something like this for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think the catalyst was I had done a broadcast on Good Day Sacramento about physical clutter. It related to Pastor P, having to do with spirituality, and he had done his own separate broadcast on that part. And so I reached out to Pastor P and said, I think we need to do something together because I think this could be pretty powerful. So would love to hear what you got out of this broadcast today. So number 1 was develop a strategic action plan. Number 2, be prepared with what you need. Number 3, commit to a decision. Don't be a flip-flopper. Number 4, complete the task fully. And 5, you got to develop a system to keep on it. What would you say, Pastor P, if there was like a one takeaway or a couple takeaways? Because we've been on here for well over an hour. What is one of the main things, if somebody just got something out of this, like one thing, what is the main takeaway that you want to give to people today? Or a couple things.
Wow. We've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
That I think that if each individual person would just look at their life and just ask yourself, what is it that I could really get rid of that's keeping me from accomplishing my spiritual walk, keeping me from becoming successful in my business, keeping my house from smelling kind of funny, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? And be realistic with yourself. And instead of being embarrassed, be realistic. And then what would happen is the end result would be, because you took the steps to start to declutter, you will be surprised how much it will change your life. Not only will you get some time back in your day, not only will you get some relaxation, not only will you get some health back, not only will you be able to think clearer, but guess what? You will become more confident in who God has created you to be.
Love that. The thing that I want everybody to take away, and it sort of dovetails into what you just talked about, Pastor P, is one thing that you said that I do all the time in the mentoring is, you said something during the broadcast is, what are you currently struggling with? And start there. And so many times we're talking about decluttering. Decluttering has to do with overwhelm, right? So you may be overwhelmed spiritually, physically, emotionally, that sort of thing. Is that a lot of times I will ask, what's wrong? What's happening in your life? Everything, everything is a crisis, right? And so that may feel that way, but there's one thing that maybe you need to start with. And so, like you said earlier, Pastor P, what are you struggling with? What is the biggest thing you struggle with right now? Start there. So sometimes you can do that alone. Sometimes you need, again, an accountability partner, a mentor, a coach, Pastor P, right. Whoever is that, just don't overwhelm yourself. Let's figure out what is that one thing that you really need to start with and go from there. So, Pastor P, this was so enjoyable.
Can I say something before we close?
I was going to joke with you and say, nope, your time is done. Of course you can.
This is what I want to say when it comes to decluttering, especially when it comes to our relationships, like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. I tell people like this, and then I'm going to be quiet. I says, when you fly on an airplane, they allow you to bring one piece of luggage for free.
Right.
Right? But every additional piece of baggage that you bring, there's a surcharge. And you have to ask yourself, how much baggage are you willing to pay for? How much extra weight are you carrying that you really don't need? What is it that you can condense in your life today that will make your relationship with yourself, with others, and with God much better? And whatever it is, declutter it. Because guess what? It's costing you. It's costing you extra. There's a surcharge for every extra piece of baggage.
I love that. I love that. There's a surcharge for all the extra. What are you willing to carry? I love that. I love that. Everybody, I hope that you really, really enjoyed this broadcast. Again, I'm Cynthia Bazin from Smart Chick Laser Focus Mentoring. My guest today is Pastor P. Jacques, Pedro, Grooms. This is well overdue, way overdue for us to do this broadcast together. I want to thank you so much, Pastor P, for doing this with me. This was awesome.
Thank you.
So good. So everybody, if you have watched this live, if you have watched this on the replay, please continue the comments on the Facebook page. At some point during the day today or at the latest tomorrow, after I get some other things done, I will reply to at least one comment that you put in the chat stream. And if Pastor P has time to go in to see all of these amazing comments, I'm sure that he will also respond to some of them. And I will put Pastor P's information inside the chat stream so you can connect with Pastor P if there's something that you're struggling with. To reach out to him and get to know him a little bit better. And of course, you have my information, but I'll also put it into the chat stream as well. So again, we come on here, everybody. I do these broadcasts. Thank you so much, Rick, saying that this was a huge blessing. I appreciate that. And so many great comments. So I'm so glad we did this. Is that, we want you to be happy. We want you to be successful in the way that you want to be, happy and successful. So I hope you got at least, a couple great things that you can apply to your life. Don't just go out of this broadcast and continue to struggle. Go through the replay if you need to. Take one thing out of this and start today. Just do the next best thing that you can do and reach out to help if you need it. So with that said, we're going to go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor P. Everybody, until next time, Cynthia Bazin and Pastor P. Have a great day.
God bless.